Welcome to Proctored Mock-2 analysis, the second paper of CAT 2014 test series. Let's have a quick look at the QADI section. Okay, a fairly balanced section, but as the norm is about a third of the quant questions from arithmetic, algebra and geometry and modern maths playing an important role, and with the 9 questions from DI and the solitary questions from DS. Okay. Now with this background in mind, let's just start with the QADI section. Let's look at how the questions should have been solved, how the paper should have been attempted, and here we'll go question by question. Let's move to the first question. Question 1. Sum of 3 numbers in AP is 45. Sum of their squares is 683. What is the largest of the 3 numbers? Simple round 1 question of arithmetic progression. I'm sure most of us have done these kind of questions a number of times. These are 3 terms in AP, so we'll take the smallest to be A minus G, the middle term to be A, and the biggest to be A plus D. We do this because when we add the 3 of them, we'll get only 3A. And we have been told that the sum of 3 terms is 45. That means A is equal to 15. So the middle term has come out to be equal to 15. What is the largest of the 3 numbers? The second condition is sum of squares is 683. So A minus G whole square will be A square plus D square minus 2AD. Middle term square will remain as A square only, and A plus D whole square will be A square plus D square plus 2AD. So when we add the 3, we should get a total of 683. And this is nothing but, again, these two minus 2AD and plus 2AD get cancelled out. So we have 3A square plus 2D square. Since A is equal to 15, 3A square will become 675 plus 2D square is equal to 683. Solving this, you will get that D is equal to 2. So if D is equal to 2, A plus D should be 17, and the correct answer is choice C. Now some of you may not be very comfortable with this calculation, though it is not difficult, it is simple. And as an alternate method, you could have looked at using the choices also. So if the middle term is 15, and the answer choices are the largest term, so if I assume that the largest term is 16 and the middle term is 15, the smallest term then should have been 14. Similarly for choice B, biggest term 15, biggest term 19, middle term 15, which is minus 4, smallest term should be 11. Similarly, out here it should have been 17, 15, 13 and 18, 15, minus 3, 12. And check out the choices. But you don't do the complete calculation. Square of 16 will end in 6. Check out only for the unit digit. 15 square will end in 5. 14 square will end in 6. So if the squares of these 3 numbers are added, the summation will end in 12 plus 5, 17. It will end in 7. But as per the question, the sum of squares should end in 3. So choice A is incorrect. Let's check out the other choices also. 17 square ends in 9. 5 square ends in 5, 13 square 116 and again ends in 9. So 9, 9, 18 and 5, 23. It ends in 3. So this can be the answer. Why am I saying this can be the answer? Because in this process I have to eliminate the others before I confirm. So there are 2 ways of getting the answer. Either eliminate the other choices or check it completely. So checking this completely would mean 17 square is 289. 15 square is 225. 13 square is 169. Add them. You will get 683, so this is the correct answer. The other way, as I said, was verify and eliminate the others also. For example, choice B, 9 square, 19 square will end in 1, this will end in 5 the square, and this will end in 1, so this again ends in 7, incorrect. What about this? 8 square, 64, ends in 4, 15 square, 5, 2 square, 4, 4, 4, 8, 13, ends in 3. So if you were checking the choices, you would be stuck between choice C and choice D, and you'll need to verify one of them by doing the complete calculation. Either way, the correct answer is choice C. The method which I used which is by working with the choices is a part of what I call the smart quant tracker. Those of you who are looking at it for the first time will get to know more about it. Those of you who are repeating and have seen it know what I'm doing about it. Okay? So let's move to the next question. Question 2. the average market price of 3 shares A, B and C is rupees X. So average is X for these 3 shares. Shares A and C lose rupees Y each and B gains rupees Y by 2. As a result, the market price of the 3 shares decreases by rupee 1. What is the value of Y? Round 1. Why? Because average is something which I am very comfortable with. As a topic, I love this topic, hence most of the time you will find I will be doing questions of averages in round 1 itself. Now, okay, share A, the price has gone down by Y rupees. Share B, the price has gone up by Y by 2 rupees. And share C, the price has gone down by Y rupees. So what is the total loss? So if the original average was X rupees and the total price of the 3 shares was 3x rupees, what has happened is that the sum of the 3, A has gone up down by Y, B has gone up by Y by 2 and C has gone down by Y. The total price has come down by 1.5Y. So the net reduction, or there is a reduction of 1.5 rupees into Y rupees in the total. So the total reduction in price is 1.5. So this is reduction in the total price. Okay. So if the reduction in total is 1.5Y, that means the reduction on an average, so that means the average reduction will be 0.5Y. So if the total reduction is of 1.5Y and there are 3 shares, so that means on an average the reduction will be 0.5Y. But the question also tells us that the average market price of the shares decreases by rupee 1. So this is the average reduction 0.5Y and this should hence be equal to 1, which implies Y should be equal to 2. Correct answer? Choice A. A simple question of average. Those of you who are not comfortable with it, please practice this. This is an important topic, helpful in quant as well as DI. As we go along, we'll have more questions on averages. Let's move to the next question. Question 3. C n r is equal to n factorial upon r factorial into n minus r factorial. Okay, I am sure all of us know this. Let's move on to the question. What is the smallest positive integer k such that C 2kk is divisible by 200? Now this is a round 2 question for me. What do I mean by round 2 question? The question which I think I can solve but will take me time because of high calculation or because I may need to work my way through it. So round 2 question, because this looks like calculation intensive question to me. However, when I come back in round 2, let me show you how I would do this question. Okay. C2kk would be equal to 2k factorial upon k factorial into 2k minus k is again k, so k factorial, or it can be written as 2k factorial upon k factorial square. Okay. Now if this number has to be divisible by 200, it means the power of 10 in the numerator should be at least 2 more than the power of 10 in the denominator. Okay. Now you can solve this mathematically, but I would prefer using the choices. So it's a round 2 question, which means I will come back to it after I have gone through all the questions. But I will solve using the choices, or I'll use one of my techniques of smart quant tracker. So let us start checking the choices. If a number has to be divisible by 200, that means, I'll just repeat the last part. Erasing this and then I'll start it again from the choices part. Okay, let's start. Okay, now let's start checking the choices. Since the question is asking for what is the smallest positive integer, we'll start checking with the smallest choice. So if k is equal to 12, what will C2kk be? K is equal to 12. So this becomes, look at this. So this will mean 22 factorial upon 11 factorial into 11 factorial. Now this has to be divisible by 200, which means the power of 10 in the numerator should be 2 more than that in the denominator. Only then this will be possible. Okay. So what is the power of 10? when we have to find the power of 10 in any number, 10 is nothing but 2 into 5. So you need to find out what is the highest power of 5 available in this number. Highest power of 5 available in 22 factorial. Highest power of 5 available in 22 factorial will be equal to 4. And highest power of 5 available in 11 factorial will be 2. So what will we get out here? On account of 22, we'll have 10 to power of 4 or 5 to power 4, whichever way you want to call it. So power of 5 will be 4 in the numerator, and power of 5 will be square into square, because 11 factorial into 11 factorial, which will again be 4. So this will not have any zeros. So there will be no zeros in choice G in this number, hence choice G is incorrect. Just to explain it again, all I am saying out here that 22 factorial upon 11 factorial into 11 factorial, this will have whatever zeros are, it will have 4 zeros in the end, and similarly the denominator will also have 4 zeros in the end, and hence this number will not have any zeros in the end. Okay. So this choice cannot be the right answer. We need the numerator to have at least 2 zeros more than the denominator. Let's look at the next one. 13 means 2k will be 26, so 26 factorial upon 13 factorial into 13 factorial. Highest power of 5 in 26 factorial will be 26 by 5 is 5 plus 1, so 6 will be the highest power. 13, so factorial 26 will have a power of 6, or will be a multiple of 5 to power 6 or 10 to power 6. 13 factorial, 13 will have 2, so 5 square. Or in other words, this number will have a power of 6 in the numerator and power of 4 in the denominator, or it will be a net power of 2. So the correct answer has to be choice C. So all we did in this question was, we said let us start checking the choices. We wanted to check the choices for divisibility by 200, but divisibility by 200 in this case meant that the power in the numerator should be 2 more than the power in the denominator of 10. So power of 10 and power of 10 effectively means power of 2 into 5, or in this case we will say power of 5. Okay. So the correct answer here is choice C, and we have used the smart quad calculator technique of using the choices to get to the answer. Let's move to the next question. A, B and C are positive integers such that A minus B into plus C into B minus C plus A into C minus A plus B equal to 15. What is the product of A, B and C? We need to find the product of A, B and C, for which we need the values of A, B and C. This is a round 2 question. This is a time consuming question. It will require calculations, hence not to be attempted in round 1 at all. It's a round 2 question. When I was solving the paper, when I came back to round 2, I shifted this to round 3, which means I did not attempt this question at all. So question not attempted in the paper at all. Okay. The reason is this choice call cannot be determined. The moment I have a choice call cannot be determined, and in this kind of a question where I may need to make cases, it is possible that there will be multiple answers, which means I'll have to do a larger amount of work. Okay. But let's see why am I saying that. Let's try solving this question. Okay. So we have here, effectively I can say A minus B plus C. Let me say this is P, this is Q, this is Q, this is P, and this is R. Effectively we are saying P, Q, R is equal to 15. So what are the 3 numbers which can be multiplied to give us 15? It could be 1 into 1 into 15. It could be 1 into 3 into 5. Equal to 15 equal to 15. So there are 2 cases. Any other case possible? No, because the only factors of 15 are 1, 3, 5 and 15. Okay, so these are the only 2 cases possible. Let's look at the first case. In the first case, I will say P is 1, which means A minus B plus C is equal to 1. Q is again 1, so B minus C plus A equal to 1. And third case is C minus A plus B equal to 15. You have to solve this equation. Okay. The second case would be A minus B plus C equal to 1. B minus C plus A equal to 3, which is this one. and then again the third one will be C minus A plus B equal to 5. These are two separate cases. You find the value of A, B and C from here, you find the value of A, B and C from here, and then you find the product. If both of them give you the same product, that will be the answer. If they give you different product, then the answer has to be cannot be determined. Okay. I am sure for most of us, solving these equations itself is going to be time consuming, and then and that we have to do twice, obviously will take us double the time. And so please understand, if instead of cannot be determined, there was again a number, let's say 36. Okay, let's say there was a number called 36 out here. Then I would have solved this question. Why? Because then I would say, let me solve only one case. Let me just not worry about the second case. Solve one case, whatever the answer comes, that becomes the answer. In this case, because of a choice called cannot be determined, I have to solve the entire question twice. Time consuming for me. If it is time consuming for you, not advisable to be done in the paper. If it is not time consuming for you, if you can do it fairly fast, it should be done in the paper. Okay. I am not solving this question. I am leaving it for you to solve it yourself. Let's go to the next question. Question 5. In the figure given below, ABCD is a trapezium in which AB is parallel to CD. Okay, so AB is parallel to CD. And DP is parallel to CQ. Okay, so DP is parallel to CQ. AP is 4 units. Okay, AP is 4 units. QB is 2 units. QB is 2 units. It is given to us, these two. What is the ratio of the area of triangle COD? Okay, COD. Okay, this triangle COD to that of triangle AOB. Okay. Okay, geometry is round 2 for me. Okay. The reason why it is round 2 for me, because I am not very strong in geometry. I take a little time to understand and then get to the answer. So anything which I take time in understanding or solving or it is calculation intensive is straight away round 2 for me. But for you, if it is an easy question, if you are very comfortable with geometry, it is a round 1 question for you. So please decide for yourself what works best for you. What works best for you is round 1, where you take time either in terms of calculation or in terms of understanding or in terms of solving. Has to be a round 2 question for me, so hence it is a round 2 question for me. But let's look at solving the question. Okay. We need to find the ratio of the area of triangle COD, which means this one, to triangle AOB, this one. Okay. Now what is obvious to us is these two triangles are, or rather these two angles have to be similar because they are vertically opposite angles. The question also tells us that CD and AB are parallel. That means AC is a transversal, or in other words, this angle and this angle should be equal. Okay. Similarly, these two angles will be equal. Okay. So I can say the two triangles AOB and COD are similar. So AOB is similar to triangle COD. Because they are similar triangles, the ratio of area will be square of the ratio of sides. Okay. So ratio of area should be square of the ratio of sides. Okay. Now since CD is equal to 4, that means this should also be equal to 4 because these two are parallel lines and DP and CQ are also parallel lines. So what does it mean? That AB is equal to 10 and CD equal to 5. I'm sorry, CD is equal to 4, it is given to us. Or the ratio of sides is 5 is to 2. So ratio of sides of AOB to COD has to be 5 is to 2. These are the sides. So the ratio of area should be square of this. So this is 4 is to 25. So AOB to COD should be 4 is to 25, or rather the triangle asks for COD to that of AOB. So it should be 4 is to 25 should be the area. Choice A is the correct answer. Simple question of similar triangles, but for me the simple question of similar triangles would still be a round 2 question, because most of the time I will spend a little time understanding and only then be able to move on to the question. Let's move to the next question now. A, B and C are positive integers such that A minus B into plus C into B minus C plus A into C minus A plus B equal to 15. What is the product of A, B and C? We need to find the product of A, B and C, for which we need the values of A, B and C. This is a round 2 question. This is a time consuming question. It will require calculations, hence not to be attempted in round 1 at all. It's a round 2 question. When I was solving the paper, when I came back to round 2, I shifted this to round 3, which means I did not attempt this question at all. So question not attempted in the paper at all. Okay. The reason is this choice call cannot be determined. The moment I have a choice call cannot be determined, and in this kind of a question where I may need to make cases, it is possible that there will be multiple answers, which means I'll have to do a larger amount of work. Okay. But let's see why am I saying that. Let's try solving this question. Okay. So we have here, effectively I can say A minus B plus C. Let me say this is P, this is Q, this is Q, this is P, and this is R. Effectively we are saying P, Q, R is equal to 15. So what are the 3 numbers which can be multiplied to give us 15? It could be 1 into 1 into 15. It could be 1 into 3 into 5 equal to 15 equal to 15. So there are 2 cases. Any other case possible? No, because the only factors of 15 are 1, 3, 5 and 15. Okay, so these are the only 2 cases possible. Let's look at the first case. In the first case, I will say P is 1, which means A minus B plus C is equal to 1. Q is again 1, so B minus C plus A equal to 1. And third case is C minus A plus B equal to 15. You have to solve this equation. Okay. The second case would be A minus B plus C equal to 1. B minus C plus A equal to 3, which is this one. And then again, the third one will be C minus A plus B equal to 5. These are 2 separate cases. You find the value of A, B and C from here. You find the value of A, B and C from here. And then you find the product. If both of them give you the same product, that will be the answer. If they give you different product, then the answer has to be cannot be determined. Okay. I am sure for most of us, solving these equations itself is going to be time consuming, and then and that we have to do twice, obviously will take us double the time. And so please understand, if instead of cannot be determined, there was again a number, let's say 36. Okay, let's say there was a number called 36 out here. Then I would have solved this question. Why? Because then I would say, let me solve only one case. Let me just not worry about the second case. Solve one case, whatever the answer comes, that becomes the answer. In this case, because of a choice call cannot be determined, I have to solve the entire question twice. Time consuming for me. If it is time consuming for you, not advisable to be done in the paper. If it is not time consuming for you, if you can do it fairly fast, it should be done in the paper. Okay. I am not solving this question. I am leaving it for you to solve it yourself. Let's go to the next question. Question 6. A watch which gains time uniformly was 5 minutes behind the correct time when it showed 11:55 am on Monday, 10 minutes ahead of the correct time when it showed 6:10 p.m. on the next day. When did the watch show the correct time? Round 1 question, simple question of clocks. Okay. So when it was showing 11:55 am on Monday, so Monday, it was showing 11:55 am, it was behind by 5 minutes. It was 5 minutes behind the correct time. That means the Monday, it was actually 12 noon and it was showing 11:55. So it was behind by 5 minutes. So it was, I can say, -5 out here. Okay. Then it says, it was 10 minutes ahead of the correct time when it showed 6:10 p.m. So what it is showing is 6:10 p.m. This was a.m. Okay. And the next day, so that makes it Tuesday. Okay. The correct time was 6 p.m. Okay. So this is 12 noon. Okay. So it is +10. Or I can say the clock has gained 15 minutes. So -5, 5 minutes behind to 10 minutes ahead, it has gained 15 minutes. So it has gained 15 minutes in how much time? From Monday 12 noon to Tuesday 6 p.m. That is 24 plus 6, 30 hours. So in 30 hours, it has gained 15 minutes. To come to the correct time, it should have needed to gain only 5 minutes. Because at 12 o'clock on Monday, at 12 noon on Monday, it was 5 minutes behind. Had it gained 5 minutes, it would give us the correct time. So time required to gain 5 minutes. To gain 15 minutes, it is taking 30 hours. To gain 1/3 of 15, 5 minutes, it will take 1/3 of 30, which is 10 hours. So the correct time should have been shown at 10 hours after 12 noon. That means at 10 p.m. on Monday. Correct answer, choice D. Fairly simple question. Let's move to the next one. Question 7. A function fx is defined for all real values of x as 2fx plus f of 1 minus x equal to x square. What is the value of f5? Round 2. Now round 2, because while there is a standard method of solving such questions, many times I have found that I take a little extra time or I make some mistake in calculation or some issue arises, so I just prefer to not do it in round 1. I would rather do it in round 2, spend those extra 30 seconds and make sure I get it right. Okay, so this is a round 2 question for me, but as I said earlier, this could be a round 1 question for many of you. Let's see how to solve this question. Okay. The question says we need to find the value of f5. We don't have a function on x, or rather we don't have a function on fx, but it is fx plus f of 1 minus x. Okay. So twice of fx plus f of 1 minus x equal to x square is the function which has been given, and we need to find the value of f5. Now in such questions, the standard method is replace x with x minus 1. Oh sorry, 1 minus x. I am saying so instead of x, write 1 minus x. So what will be f of 1, if I replace x with 1 minus x in this equation, this will become twice of f 1 minus x plus f of 1 minus x makes it 1 plus x equal to 1 minus x square. So all I have done is replaced x with x minus x, replaced x with 1 minus x in this equation. So this becomes twice of f of 1 minus x plus these two get cancelled out, fx equal to 1 minus x whole square. And what was our original equation? This was the one. This was twice of fx, so twice of fx and f of 1 minus x equal to x square. Now from these two equations I can eliminate f of 1 minus x. So if I multiply the second equation with 2, so multiply the second equation with 2. So this becomes twice. This becomes 2 into 2, 4, and this becomes 2x square. So let's subtract. When we subtract, what will we get? These two get cancelled out. Minus of 4fx plus fx, this becomes minus 3 of fx equal to 1 minus x whole square minus 2x square. Or could be written as 2x square minus 1 minus x whole square equal to 3fx. Or rather fx is equal to twice of x square minus 1 minus x whole square upon 3. So f of 5 should be equal to, x is 5, so this becomes 25, x square is 25 into 250. I'm sorry, this should be minus. 1 minus x is minus 4, minus 4 square is 16. So 16 upon 3, which is equal to 34 upon 3. So f of 5 should be 34 upon 3, choice C. Simple question, but as you would see, it requires you to go systematically, and if you rush through it, if you try to work fast, you will find you will get into problems. So which is why for me, I normally leave these questions for round 2. So the standard method which you need to remember for this, in all such questions, I will first look at replacing x with 1 minus x. The idea being, can I convert it into an equation which has only fx? This equation had fx and f1 minus x. So I try to convert it to only an equation of x, and my answer then becomes out in a straightforward manner. Okay? So just remember the standard method. Let's move to the next question now. Question 8. 2 jars contain milk and water in the ratio of 7:3 and 3:2 respectively. In what ratio should the contents of the 2 jars be mixed such that the final ratio of the milk and water resultant becomes 23:17. Okay. Simple question of mixtures, round 1 question. Mixtures, averages, solutions, ratios are favorite topics as far as I am concerned, and they will invariably be round 1 topics for me. So the first jar has milk and water in the ratio of 70:3. That means out of 10 it is 7 milk or 70% milk. So first jar has 70% milk. Second jar 3 out of 5. So 3:2, that means 3 out of 5, 3 upon 3 plus 2, 60% milk. Okay. So first jar has 70% milk, second jar has 60% milk. What is the resultant mixture that we need? 23:17 or 23 upon 40. So fraction of milk in this second jar will, in the final resultant mixture, is to be 23/40, which is less than 60%. What is 60% of 40? It is 24. That means 23 is less than 60%, which means the answer has to be data and consistent. When I am mixing a 70% and a 60% mixture, I have to have an answer which lies between 60 and 70. My answer of this mixture, if I am mixing a 70% and a 60% mixture, my answer needs to be greater than 60% and less than 70%, or my answer has to be between 60 and 70%. Since the question is saying the resultant mixture is less than 60%, that means it is not possible, or it is an inconsistent data. Okay. Next question. 0.25 is less than A plus 1 upon B plus 1 upon C plus 1, etc., etc., and this is less than 1.3. A, B, C, D are positive integers. What is the value of B? A round 1 question from numbers, which we have done, at least I have done a number of times this kind of question, and you can easily do it with the help of choices also. Okay. Now first of all, in this question I would say A has to be equal to 1. A has to be 1 because it is lying between 1.25 and 1.3, so A has to be 1. This is 1 plus some fraction, or in other words I can say 1.25 is less than A plus 1 upon, let me say, B plus X. I am saying this entire thing should be equal to, I am calling this as X. I am calling this as X, I am retaining B because B is the only thing I am interested in, not the others. And this has to be less than 1.3. Or in other words, 0.25 less than, because A is equal to 1, if I subtract 1 from both sides, should be less than 1 upon B plus X, less than 0.3. Okay, so what is X? X is equal to 1 upon C plus 1 upon D plus 1 upon, and so on and so forth. Okay. So what is the minimum and maximum value of X? I will say X has to lie, or X has to lie in the region of 0 to 1. It has to be greater than 0, it has to be less than 1. Okay. Let's understand why. If C is very small, this will become 1. So X has to lie in this region of 0 to 1. Okay. So what can we be? Let's start checking the choices. If B is equal to 2, then 1 upon B plus X. If B is equal to 2, then what will this imply? 1 upon 2 plus X. 1 upon 2 plus X, the maximum possible value will be a shade under 1. So that will be, it has to be 0.33. And if X is very small, then this value will be about 0.5. That means B plus X will lie between 0.33 and 0.5, so 2 cannot be the answer. If B is equal to 3, what would happen? This will become 1 upon B plus X will become 1 upon 3 plus X. So the smallest possible value and the largest possible value, let's check out. This will be 1 by 3 and 1 by 4. That means 0.33 and 0.25, or greater than 0.25, less than 0.33. So the correct answer has to be C, choice C, which is number 3. Okay. Let's move to the next question now. Question 10. A car runs on 4 tires and has 1 extra tire. If each tire lasts for 10,000 kilometers, then what is the maximum distance that the car can travel using the 5 tires? Okay. Round 1. Basic question, simple question of arithmetic, should not take time. Now, each tire can last for 10,000 kilometers. Now please understand, when each tire lasts for 10,000 kilometers and the car is running for 10,000 kilometers, if the car runs 10,000 kilometers, that means that each tire has done 10,000 kilometers, and that means 4 tires have cumulatively done 40,000 kilometers. Okay. So when the car runs 10,000 kilometers, the 4 tires cumulatively have done 40,000 kilometers. Now since there are 5 tires, we have 5 tires with us. If there are 5 tires, then they will cumulatively do 50,000 kilometers. If they will do 50,000 kilometers instead of 40,000 kilometers, the car will run not for 10,000 but more. Or in other words, to put it in a very simple manner, when the tires cover 40,000 kilometers, the car runs for 10,000 kilometers. I'm sorry. Tires do 40,000, car does 10,000. Tires do 50,000, car will do 1/4 of that, which is 12,500. Choice C. A very straightforward, it was a question which should have logically been done only, that for 40,000 kilometer cumulative distance of tires, the car has done for only 10,000 kilometers. So if the cumulative distance covered by the tires is 50,000, the car should do 1/4 of that, 12,500 kilometers. Let's move to the next question. Question 11 to 13, DI. Now DI set is typically a round 2 item for me. The reason I prefer doing DI in round 2 is because to solve DI completely, you need to understand the data, you need to go through the case which is given and then decide whether you want to do it or not. I would rather do that in round 2 because it can take a bit of time. But in round 1, I typically quickly go through the data and see if it makes sense coming back to in round 2 or is it not worth attempting at all. Okay. So when I look at this data, what I find, the numbers are a little difficult, but all of them are around about 16 lakh or so. Okay, so not rounded off numbers. Numbers are close to each other. Okay, and it talks about different political parties and number of votes. So it is quite possible there will be some ratios to be found and can be calculation intensive. Quickly run through the questions. The choices are not close. Here the choices appear to be close. The choices, okay, these two choices are close, 26, 194, 26, 38, 195. Similarly, these two choices are close. So, some close choices, some not so close choices. Calculations are likely to be in terms of percentage changes, etc. because these are talking about votes. We'll look at this in round 2. But let's look at it and see how I solve this. So, when I came back to the set of data in round 2, let's just try to understand what is the key things out here. I'm sure all of you have read the set, but quickly running through it. There are 6 major and other smaller parties. So 6 plus parties are there. All the smaller parties are combined as others. In round 1 of the election is held as follows. In round 1, if a candidate gets more than 50% of votes cast, he or she is the winner. So to become the winner, you need more than 50%. Otherwise, top 5 move to the next round. Okay. In round 2, again, if you get more than 50%, you win. If no one gets more than 50%, then the top 3 move to the next round. So from round 1 to round 2, 5 will move. And round 2 to round 3, 3 will move. That is assuming no one gets a 50% or more than 50% votes in either round 1 or round 2. Then round 3 will be only for the top 3 candidates. Okay. And whoever gets the maximum number of votes in round 3 wins. Assume there are no ties in deciding top 3 okay, candidates or the winner in round 3. Okay, so there are no ties anywhere. Okay. Quickly, let's go through the data again. Number of votes on the y-axis, the parties in the x-axis. Others comprises many smaller parties. Okay. Question 11. Among the 5 candidates who moved to round 2, the candidate with the maximum number of votes in round 1 got what percentage of the total votes in that round? We need to find what percentage of the total votes in that round for the candidate who got the maximum number of votes in round 1. The maximum number of votes in round 1 is AJP. with 16,52,754 votes. But what is this as a total percentage? Now look at the choices. 17.4%, 19.8, 18.2, 16.5. Not close, so maybe we can approximate. So let's try to total the number of votes. Just add the lakhs first, then the thousands, and then we'll see if we need to add up the others also. So 16, 16, 16, 16, 16, 16, 6 is 96, 7, 97. So 97 lakh votes out here. Let's look at the thousands now. 52 plus 38 makes it 82, 90. 38 makes it again 128 plus 42, 170. 170 plus 34, 204 plus 42, 246. 246 plus 51, 297. So 2,97,000 votes more. Okay. So this becomes about 99 lakhs 97,000. Okay. I can say approximately 100 lakhs. And this is 16.52 lakhs. So my answer should be approximately 16.52 upon 100 or 16.52%, 16.5%. Or in other words, this tells me the total votes is approximately, possibly just around 100 lakhs. Okay. So for my calculation purpose, I will now take the number of votes to be equal to 100 lakhs only. Okay. Question 11, choice C is the correct answer. Let's move to question 12. If the votes received by the candidates of Samajik and Hindu-Muslim party in round 1 are not taken into account, then by what percentage points does the share of others increase? Okay. What is the total number of votes with others? It is 1.51 lakhs. Okay. So others is 1.51 lakh on 100 lakh. The question is saying if these two, Samajik and Hindu-Muslim, are removed. If they are removed, what do we remove? 16 plus 16, 32. Approximately 33 lakhs of votes are removed. So minus 33 lakhs. So what will this become? This will become 1.51 upon 67. Okay. Let me just go to that slide. Okay. So originally others had 1.51 lakh votes out of a total of 100 lakh. Now it has become 1.51 lakh upon 67 lakh. So you can calculate and find the difference. But another simple way to look at it is the denominator has become 2/3. Denominator has moved from 100 to 67, or it has become 2/3. That means the percentage which is constant, the numerator is constant. Because the numerator is constant, that means the percentage should become, because the denominator has become 2/3, the percentage should become 3/2. So originally it was 1.51 upon 100, which was about 1.5%. Okay. And now it should become 3/2 into 1.5, because the denominator has become 2/3, the numerator should become 3/2, or the percentage should become 3/2 times. So this should be equal to approximately 2.25%. So the increase is approximately 0.75, and among the choices 0.74. Now those of you are not still very clear about it, let me write it in a slightly different way. I can write 67, I can write this number as 1.51 upon 100 into 2/3 approximately, which is nothing but 1.51 upon 100 into 3/2. Okay, but this is nothing but 1.51% into 3/2. So this is what I have done. So just because the denominator is becoming 2/3, that means the percentage should become 3/2 times. So here I have used what I, again, something which I use in my SQC techniques. So part of that has been applied out here. Okay. Let's move to the next question. Question 13. If 1 million votes are cast in round 2 and 3 million votes are cast in round 3, then what is the minimum total number of votes needed by a candidate to be declared winner of the election? So in round 3, 3 million votes or 30 lakh votes have been cast. In round 2, it says 1 million or 10 lakh votes have been cast. And in round 1, we already know 100 lakh votes had been cast, or 10 million. Okay. We want to find what is the minimum total number of votes required by a person to be declared the winner. In round 3, if I have to be the winner, I should have at least 1/3 plus 1, or in other words, if I get 10 lakh plus 1. Okay. So 1/3 of this, because there are 3 candidates out here. To be declared the winner, I need to have the maximum number of votes, which will happen, or the minimum possible situation is when I have 1/3 of the total votes, which is 30 lakhs plus 1. So 1/3 plus 1 is what I am looking at out here. 1/3 plus 1/3 of 10 lakh, 30 lakhs, sorry, plus 1. What about round 2? How many candidates are in the fray in round 2? There are 5. Okay. Since there are 5 candidates in fray and top 3 make it to the next round. Out of these 5, 3 will make to the next round. That means I could go to the next round even with a single vote. Why? Out of the 5 candidates, one could get 0, another could get 0, I could get 1, and the balance 9.999 lakhs etc. could be distributed in the other 2. So I could be in the 3rd position with a single vote also. The minimum number of votes hence required to move from round 3 to round 2 is actually 1 vote. And this is where probably significant amount of mistakes to happen in this question. And what is the minimum number of votes I need to get in round 1 to move to the next round? Let's go to the table. We already know what were the total votes cast in round 1. These were the votes cast in round 1. So from round 1 to round 2, the parties which would go obviously others, all of them move out. 16, 52, 38, 38, 42, 34, 42. Okay, Samajik would not go to the next round. 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5. These 5 parties will go to the next round. And out of these 5 who will move to the next round, the minimum votes are with Congress, which is 16, 38, 192. So the minimum votes required to win the election could be, if it would happen if this moves 16, what was the number? Let me just check out. 16, 38, 192. Okay, so it will be 16 lakh 38,192, or your total becomes 16 plus 10, 26. Straight away these two get ruled out. 16, 26 and 38. Okay, so 16, 38 and 192, 194. 194. Choice A becomes the correct answer. Okay. So just be clear about this part. The movement from round 1 to round 2 is determined on the basis of the graph which is given to us. Round 2 to round 3 was the tricky part where mistakes could have been made. Okay. And round 3, you can win only if you have the highest number of votes, and the minimum situation will be 1/3 plus 1 because there are 3 candidates. Question 14. A and B start running simultaneously on a circular track from point O in the same direction. If the ratio of their speeds is 6:1 respectively, how many times is A ahead of B by quarter of length of the track before they meet at O for the first time? Round 1 question, because there is some time speed distance which I am fairly comfortable with, and does not look like being calculation intensive. Looking at the data again, circular track, O is the starting point, both of them start moving in the same direction. Ratio of speeds is 6:1. Okay. And we need to find how many times is A ahead of B by quarter of length of the track before they meet for the first time. So let us assume length of the track to be equal to 6 kilometers, or circumference of the track to be 6 kilometers. Speed of A equal to 6 kilometers per hour and speed of B equal to 1 kilometer per hour. This satisfies the conditions, which also means A gains, or the relative velocity of A is 5 kilometers per hour, or A gains 5 kilometers in every hour over B. Okay. Now we need to find out how many times is A ahead of B by quarter of the length. Now A will be ahead of B by quarter of the length, which means if the length is 6 kilometers, the first time this condition is satisfied is when A has gained 1.5 kilometers. Okay. Next time this condition will be satisfied when A gains 1.5 kilometers. Let me assume A is here when he's gained 1.5 kilometers. then he needs to do one complete round more. So now he needs to move one extra round, or he needs to gain one more round. So when A gains another 6 or 7.5 kilometers, this condition of the question will be satisfied. Next case, A gains another one round. So 7.5 and 6, 13.5, and so on. Okay. Till when should you do it? Let's look at it. What the question says. Before they meet at O for the first time, when will they meet at O for the first time? Ratio of speeds is 6:1. That means when B does one round, A would do 6 rounds. Okay. Or A would gain, I can say, which this means that A has gained in this case 5 rounds. So the maximum gain possible is 5 rounds, which is equal to 30 kilometers. So 13.5 plus 6 makes it 19.5. Another 6 makes it 25.5. Another 6 would take it to 30.5. But the race ends when A gains 5 complete rounds. A gains 5 complete rounds over B. So this case cannot be taken. So how many times will this happen? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 is the correct answer. Actually, we did not need to do all this. If you just look at the numbers carefully, your starting point should have been ratio of speeds is 6:1. A will gain 5 rounds straight away. So my answer cannot be any of these. Okay. And then you could have eliminated 4 also. Okay. But those of you who are not very comfortable with what I've done, just done in the end, you could just start working in this manner. Remember, A to be ahead of B by quarter of a round means A should have gained 1.5 kilometers. That is the first case. To be ahead of B by the second time by 1.5 kilometers, he needs to gain this 1.5, the original one which is already there, plus an additional 1 round which is 6, so that makes it 7.5. Okay. Question 15. X and Y are two real numbers such that Y is equal to mod of x minus 2 minus mod of 2x minus 12 plus mod of x minus 8. What is the least possible value of Y? For me, this is a round 2 question because I always take a little time in solving this, and I occasionally have a tendency of making a mistake in such questions, so I don't want to rush, hence it's a round 2 question for me. Okay. So let me just rewrite the equation and then solve it. Y is equal to mod of x minus 2 plus mod of x minus 8 minus 2x minus 12 mod. Okay, I can rewrite this as mod of x minus 2 plus mod of x minus 8 minus twice mod of x minus 6. Now let me look at these two items first. If you draw the number line x equal to 2 and x equal to 8. If x lies between 2 and 8, these two, mod of x minus 2 and mod of x minus 8, will always be equal to 6. Because if it is here, this is x minus 2 and this is x minus 8. Okay, and modulus of that will be nothing but 8 minus 2 equal to 6. So this will always be equal to 6 as long as we are in this region of x between, or rather x from 2 to 8. What if x goes beyond 8? Let's say x equal to 9. If x is equal to 9, then what would happen? This portion will go up by 1 and this portion will go up by 1. So this will keep on increasing it. Similarly, if x is on left hand side of 2, let's say x is equal to 1. If x is equal to 1, this will become 1 and this will become 7, 8, or rather this will again increase, or there will be an increase on both these components by 1 unit each. So you will have a minima for the first two as long as you are from 2 to 8. Now let's look at the third one also, twice into mod of x minus 6. Now since we want to minimize the value of this expression, let's check out what happens when the value of x changes for mod of x minus 6. Okay. Now at x equal to 6, this expression will be 6 while this will be 0. Okay. Or the value of y will be 6. What happens when x increases from 6 to 7? Okay. This still remains at 6 while this becomes 7 minus 6, 1 minus 2. which is 4. X equal to 8. This still remains at 6 minus 4 equal to 2. X equal to 9. This will not be 6 now, but this will increase because this was equal to 6 for this region 2 to 8. If it is 9, this becomes 2 plus 1, 3. I am sorry. If x is equal to 9, this becomes 7 plus 1, 8. So it will go up for x increasing by 1, this will increase by 2. So this will now become 8 and this will become 9 minus 6 is 3, 3 minus 2, 3 into 2, 6. So 8 minus 6 equal to 2. And this will continue. You will find this will, for x greater than 8, this will be equal to 2. The reason is, for every beyond 8, each one of them will keep increasing by 1 and this will also increase by 1 into 2, 2. So this will be here. But what if we go in the other direction? X equal to 5. Again, this will be 6 only for x equal to 5. Let me just, okay. For x equal to 5, this will be 6 only. But this will be 5 minus 6 is minus 1 or 1 into 2, 2. Which will be 4. X equal to 4. Six and 4 equal to 2. Okay. And at x equal to 2, you will find this becomes, this is still at 6 and this is minus 4 or 4 into 2, 8. 8, so minus 2. X less than 2, again if you go to x less than 2, the change will get neutralized for this as well as this, or the minimum value will happen when x is less than equal to 2 and the minimum value will be minus 2. Okay. Let's look at the next question. Question 16. Difference between compound interest with annual compounding and simple interest earned in 2 years over a certain rate at 18% per annum is 972. What will the same sum amount to in rupees after 3 years at the rate of 18% per annum when the interest is compounded annually? Okay. Normally a round 1 question, but this one for me is a round 2 question, and it is possible even in round 2 I may not do it. The reason is very simple. Look at the choices. 49,290.96, 280.5, 49,116, 49,382. Choices are very close. With close choices, I don't want to take chances, and this also means the calculation effort will be higher. Okay. So a round 2 question may even become a round 3 question if I find calculation to be very, very difficult, which is likely to be the case because 290 and 280 I could very easily go wrong. So let us just look at how to solve it if the choices were not close. Okay. The simple interest for 2 years at 18% will be 36%. Each year you get 18% of the principal. So in 2 years you get 36% of principal. When it comes to compounding, many of you would have a problem calculating 1.18 square, but rather than that, consider compounding as nothing but successive increments. So 18% interest is applied on the first year and another 18% the second year, which is nothing but 2 successive increments of 18%. So overall increment should be A plus B plus AB by 100. So 18 square is 324 by 100. So this will become 39.24. 36 plus 3.24. So when it is compounding, you will get 39.24% of the principal. But what is the difference between the two? 972 rupees as per the question. So we can say the difference between these two is 3.24% of the principal. So 3.24% of the principal is equal to 972 rupees. So principal should be 972 upon 3.24 into 100, which will be nothing but, okay, you remove this 3.24 and put another 100. So 324 into 3 is 972. So this is 30,000. So the question effectively is the principal is equal to 30,000. Time period is equal to 3 years. Rate of interest is 18%. Compounded annually. What is the amount? So this is a simple question which is there with us. but the choices are so close that whatever you do, you will have a problem, and hence I said so close choices may not be worth attempting. Okay, but let us still go further and see how to do the calculation. Let me erase the what I have written out here to create space for calculations. So effectively, we need to find out the amount after CS. Amount after CS will be 30,000 into 1.18 raised to power 3. Now, two different ways of doing it. One is applying Vedic maths, other is applying the successive increment. But I can assure you, both of them will have some calculation effort. We already know that 39, if it is 18% for 2 years, it is equivalent to 39.24%. And the third year will be 18%. You can apply successive increments out here. A plus B plus AB by 100. I know AB by 100 will be an issue. Let us look at the Vedic maths method. If I have a number called, let's say 100 plus 118 or 100 plus x. For those of you who have forgotten Vedic maths, I'll just quickly tell you how to calculate the cube. If the number is 100 plus x, the cube of that number would be x cube out here, 3x square out here, and this is 100 plus 3x. Okay. So to take a very simple example, 106 cube will be 6 cube is 216. So 16 and 2 to be carried over. We retain only 2 digits out here. 6 square for 3x square, 6 square is 36 into 3, 108 plus the 2 carry over makes it 110. Retain 10, 1 to be carried over. 6 is 18 plus 1, 19. The carry over part, so 119. This is cube of 106. So cube of 1.06 should be 1.191016. Now which also means we could have ignored this part because this is 5th or 6th place of decimal. Okay. So if you have to do this question, this is the method which you should be adopting, which means 1.18 cube should be 1 point something will be here. Okay. 18 cube out here. Okay. And this will be 3 into 18 square. And this will be 1.54. 18 is a 54. Obviously the carryover will be part of the decimal. Okay. Or if you have to look at 118 cube, let's look at calculating that. Obviously that means 18 cube is what you need to know. If you don't know, you'll have to write down and do it. Okay. 18 square is 324 into 3, 972. If I ignore this part completely, this becomes 72, 9 to be carried over, and 154 plus 9, 163. Or 1.18 cube would be 1.63. Or I will then say this is approximately 1.64. But even with this approximation, which is not a very big approximation if you calculate, you will get the answer to be 49,200. Okay. Which means your answer should be 1.64 into 30,000. So 1.64 into 30,000 is equal to 49,200. All we can say is that this is wrong, but which of these two we can't be sure. So question not worth attempting. Choices are fairly close. At best I will do here, come here and leave it. Or if I have sufficient time, if I have got nothing else to do, then I will calculate this portion also and then get the exact answer. The correct answer in this question is choice A, but as I said earlier, a question not worth attempting in the paper. 17. Data sufficiency with logs is a round 2 question for me. Log in general is a round 2 question because I take a little time in solving it. Data sufficiency implies I need to look at all possible scenarios, hence it's definitely a round 2 question for me. Let's look at the instructions. Mark A if the question can be answered by using one but not the other. Mark B if can be answered by using either statement, which means if A can answer, all B can answer but not both, then we'll mark A. If A can answer independently, B can answer independently, then we'll mark the answer as B. Mark C if the question can be answered using both statements together but cannot be answered using either of them. That means A and B combined give me sufficient data to solve the question. D if there is not sufficient data to solve the question. Is log x base A greater than log y base B? Okay. Statement A. A lies between 0 and 1, B is greater than 1, x is greater than 1, y is less than 1. Y less than 1 means log of y base b should be negative. Okay, so I can say as per statement A, if I am looking at statement A, that means log of y base b is negative. Okay. What about log of x base A? A lies between 0 and 1. That means even this should be negative. I can always write log of x base A as log of x base 10 upon log of log of A base 10. Now log of A base 10, since A lies between 0 and 1, will be negative. So both of them are negative. This is negative, this is negative. We don't know the relative values of xy ab, so we cannot say anything. The statement A is insufficient to answer the question. Okay. That means B cannot be the answer. Statement B is A lies between 0 and 1, B lies between 0 and 1, x is greater than y. A lies between 0 1, B lies between 0 1, that means again both of these are negative, but we cannot say which is bigger, which is smaller. So statement B also cannot answer the question, so that means A cannot also be the answer. Can I combine the two statements? No, I can't. Just look at it this way. B greater than 1 and this says B lies between 0 and 1. There is a contradiction, so C also cannot be the answer. The correct answer has to be D. Let's move to the next question. Question 18 to 20, set of DI around 2 items for me, as I said earlier. Let's quickly look at the data and understand how to solve these questions. Two pie charts given below specify percentage of men and women in various age groups A, B, C, D, E. So 5 age groups as given out here in a particular town for a particular year 2010. Okay. So total men is 3200, total women is 3800. Okay. So number of men in the age group A is 30% of 3200, and similarly for the others, these are simple numbers and calculation is not going to be an issue, hence it is a good set of data to look at. The question further, the data further says these men and women contribute to the income of town in the ratio of 4:5, men's contribution to women's contribution. So contribution by men to contribution by women is 4.5. If the total income of the town is X, men contribute 4 by 9x, women contribute 5 by 9x. That is the data which we have here. Okay. So we can say we have data of the total number of men and women, number of men and women in each age group which we can find. Contribution we know only of the total population, that total, or rather the ratio of contribution by all men and ratio of contribution by all women is known. We don't know the contribution by each of the individual age groups. Okay. Let's go to the questions. Question 18. What is the ratio of men's contribution from group D to women's contribution from group C? We don't know. We only know that the ratio of total contribution is there. Okay. But out of this, how much each group contributes, we don't know. Similarly for women. So the answer here has to be insufficient data, that we cannot calculate with the given data what the answer of this question should be. Question 19. In 2011, the number of women in group C increased by 15%. By what percentage will the total number of women in the town increase? In 2011, the percentage increase for women is given to us for group C. So if I look at A, B, C, D, E, group C, this has gone up by 15%. Okay. But what has happened to the other groups? Not told to us. We don't know whether group A, B, D, E have they increased or decreased, or what change has happened. Since that is not given, it has to be, again, cannot be determined. Now, supposing the question had said that group C goes up by 15%, all others remain constant. All other groups remain constant, then what is the answer? Let me just quickly see. Group C is 20%. Okay. I'm sorry. Yeah. So group C is 20%. Had the question been, as of now the answer is insufficient data, but I'm just modifying the question. Had the question been that C goes up by 15%, all others remain constant, then what will be the share of C? So I can assume that if there were 100 initially, then C was 20 and these combined were 80. Or let me say, if the C was 20, other groups would have been 80 in 2010. Okay, 100. If in 2011 C goes up by 15%, that means 20 goes up to 23. Increase of 15% on 20. Others remain constant, so 80. So 23. So what is the, I'm sorry, this is 103. So what is the share of C now? It is 23 upon 103, or maybe just under 23%. Okay. So in this question, we do not know what happens to the share of other groups, hence it is insufficient data. Had the question given us some inputs in each one of them, we would have then been able to solve that question also. Contribution of men to the town's income is 35,000. What is the average contribution of women to the town's income? Now we know that contribution of men upon contribution of women is 4 by 5. Or we can say contribution of women is 5 by 4 into contribution by men. Now simple straightforward question, I'm sure all of you can do it, but many times we increase our calculation effort. What will we do? We'll calculate the total contribution of men and then do the first, which means you first calculate CM, then you do this and then you divide by 3800, which is the population of women. It is always better not to do the complete calculation but to just write down the numbers and then start cancelling them out. So contribution by men is 35,000 per person. The number of men in the town is 3200. So there is a total contribution by men. This is CM. Don't calculate the value, just leave it as it is. So total contribution by women should be contribution by men multiplied with 5 by 4. So into 5 by 4. And then we need to find what is the average contribution. That means total contribution by women divided by number of women. Number of women in town is 3800. So 3800. Now start cancelling out. This will make your life easier. Okay, so this is cancelled out. So now we further 4 into 8 is 32 and this is 19 and this is 4. So this is equal to 35,000 into 20 by 19. Okay, 20 by 19. Okay, 20 by 19, if you know your fractions, is nothing but 1 plus 1 by 19, which is nothing but 1 plus, or rather 105.26%. Or 1 by 19 is 5.26%. So your answer has to be 35,000 plus 5.26% of 35,000. So 20 by 19 is nothing but 105.26%, or the same number 35,000 increased by 5.26% is what we need to find. Okay. You could obviously multiply 35,000 into 20, divide by 19, that also will give you the answer, but I have always found this to be easier. So we need to effectively find how much is 5.26% of 35,000. 5% of 35,000. 10% of 35,000 is 3,500. So 5% should be 1,750. And we already had 35,000. So I can straight away say my answer should be greater than 36,750. My answer should be greater than 36,750. Any choice lesser than that should be removed. So choice B is incorrect. It is less than 36,750. So 5%. Okay. So 5% is 1750. Again, come here back. Okay, we need to find out 0.25%. So now that we have calculated 5%, we need to calculate 0.26% again. Okay. So 10% we have already said is 3,500. 1% is equal to 350. 0.25% will be 1/4 of this. 1/4 of this will be half of 350 is 175. Half of that is 87.5. So another 87.5. So 1750 plus 87.5 makes it 1850, 1837.5, 1837.5. So now I can say my answer should be greater than 837.5. It should be greater than 837.5. this, okay, 37042. Okay, 36042 should be wrong. 36942 and 842, this should be wrong. This is the correct answer. Now, those of you who are wondering why have I straight away marked this as the answer, please understand, till now we have got a total of 36,837, I'm sorry, 0.5, and we have calculated 5.25%. So this 5.25%, 5.26% will not take it beyond 36,900. 842 to 942, it will not happen. If you want to be sure, again we can go back to it. 10% is 3,500, 1% is 350, 0.1% is 35, 0.01% is 3.5. So you need to add another 3.5 approximately. So you'll get the answer as 36,842. Okay. So when you have to calculate percentage, it is always easier to break it into smaller components. Okay. Let's move to the next question. In the figure given below, there is a square circumscribed by a circle. In how many ways can 9 people occupy the marked position such that each person occupies exactly one position? Okay. Permutation combination, round 2 for me. It might be an easy question, but as I said, for me, what I am comfortable with is what I will do in round 1. The figure looks slightly different from what I am used to, so I did not want to take chances and came back to do it in round 2. But realize it's a fairly simple question. Okay. So 9 people have to be seated in each of these positions as given in the figure, and we need to find in how many different ways can it be done. Now this is, if this was the question that 9 positions out here, 1, 2, 3, 4, okay, whatever it is, these so many positions, 9 positions out here, and then we would have straight away said it should be 8 factorial. Okay. The reason is because these positions get defined only when one person sits. In this particular case, the positions are defined. The positions are defined. This is a very unique position. So I cannot take it to a circular arrangement. It is almost like, or it is for all practical purposes a linear arrangement, because every position is defined, and hence the answer has to be 9 factorial. Okay. Now supposing the question was not this but this. Okay. So we need to seat people 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. In this case, what would the answer be? I am just taking a variation of the question to explain the concept. In this case, I have to first seat 4 people either in the inner or the outer circle. Because once one of the circle is taken care of, either the circle or the square, any one of them is taken care of, the position get defined. So first I have to choose 4 people. So 8C4, I can choose 4 people out of 8. It's not 8 now in this question, 9 I am assuming to be 8. So if there are 8 people to be seated in this manner, then I'll say first I'll choose 4 people out of 8, and those 4 can be seated in the outer circle, let's say. And they can be seated in the outer circle in factorial 3 ways. And the remaining 4 can be seated into the square in factorial 4 ways. Okay. Or it could be the other way around. Okay. So it should be 8C4 factorial 3 into factorial 4 if this was the question. This question is effectively a question of linear arrangement because each position is clearly defined. Okay. There's a unique position, for example, and every other position can be defined with respect to this particular position. So the correct answer has to be factorial 9. Let's move to the next question now. Both sides will be equal. Similarly, n square minus 2n equal to plus 1 or minus 1, that will be 0. Okay. I'll just erase a small part and do it again. Okay, I'll restart. The second case could be the base n square minus 2n is equal to 1, because if the base is 1, then whatever be the power, it does not matter. another case could even be minus 1. So plus minus 1 both are possible out here. But if n square minus 2n is minus 1, then what about the power? This is even. So minus 1 raised to any even power will always be an even number. But this could be even or odd depending upon the value of n. So n square minus 2n equal to minus 1 is possible, but in that case the powers should be both having same nature, which means both odd or both even. Now since this is always even, because there is 16, multiple of 16 minus 16, so this will always be even. That means the n square minus 2n minus equal to minus 1 will be valid only if n square plus 47 is equal to an even number. If this has to be an even number, that means n square has to be an odd number. Okay, so this case is possible only if n is equal to odd. Okay. But that is another case. And the third case is since the base are the same, n square minus 2n, the powers to be equal. So n square plus 47 equal to 16n minus 16. Let's solve this. So this implies n square minus 16n plus 63 equal to 0. This implies 16 is 9 and 7. So n minus 7 into n minus 9 is equal to 0. That means n can be equal to 7 or 9. So if n is equal to 7 or n is equal to 9, then the powers on both sides will be the same, and hence the answer will be same on both sides, or n equal to 7 and 9 are possible values. Okay. Let's look at the simpler case now, n square minus 2n. Remember, we don't need the values, we need the sum of the values. So it is 9 plus 7 equal to 16 has already happened. So my answer has to be greater than 16. All four are greater than or equal to 16. So all of them are possible. If I take this case, n square minus 2n equal to 0. This implies n into n minus 2 equal to 0, or this implies n is equal to 0 or n equal to 2. So we have 0 plus 2. So total we are already at 18. If that means the answer can be either 18 or greater than 18, or which means choice A is incorrect. Okay, your answer will be either 18, 19 or 20. Now if 18 is the answer, that means no other number is possible. If 19 is the answer, that means one more value of n which is possible is equal to 1. For 19 an additional value, because we already had 18 here, so plus 1 will make it 19, so that means 1 must also be possible. If 20 is the answer, so let me put 1 here. If 20 is the answer, the fifth number has to be 18 plus 2, 20, but 2 cannot come in again, so this has to be incorrect. Okay. So just be clear about this. D is incorrect, because if D has to be the answer, then the fifth number has to be 2, but the number 2 cannot come in twice. We have already counted it once here, so it cannot come in twice. So 20 cannot be the answer. So the only question which is left to check now is n equal to 1 a possible answer? So let's check out. If n equal to 1 is a possible answer, it will come from here only. So if n square minus 2n equal to 1, or n square minus 2n equal to minus 1. Does n equal to 1 satisfy any of them? If I put n equal to 1 in this, 1 minus 2 incorrect, it satisfies this. Okay, that means the answer has to be 19. Okay. You could have also solved this equation, not a big deal. You could have solved this equation, but since I just eliminated choices, I was able to probably save some 30 seconds in getting the answer. Let's move to the next. In the figure given below, ABCD is an isosceles trapezium wherein BC is parallel to AD, circumscribing a circle such that BC is 45 centimeters, AD is 125 centimeters. What is the radius of the circle? Okay. Round 1 question for me. Mensuration I am fairly comfortable with, so it will typically happen in round 1 for me. Okay. Now in this case we have two things given to us. That the trapezium is isosceles. If it's an isosceles trapezium, that means AB should be equal to CD. Okay. the non-parallel sides have to be equal. We are also told that BC and AD are parallel, and we have been given the length. Okay. Now if I look at this trapezium and the circle, from point C I can say BC and CD are tangential to the circle. That means if this is X, this should also be X. Why? Because from the point C we are extending tangents to the circle. Similarly, by the same logic, if this is Y, this should also be Y. These two have to be equal. Okay. And if this is Z, this should also be Z, and this is W, this should also be W. Or in other words, we can say if BC plus AD, this is nothing but W plus X plus Y plus Z. And similarly, we can say AB plus CD, the other two sides, will also be equal to W plus X plus Y plus Z. Or in other words, AB plus CD has to be equal to sum of the other two sides, which means this is 45 plus 125, which makes it 170. That means each of these sides is nothing but 85. We want to find the radius of the circle, or in other words, we need to find the distance between the two parallel sides. Okay. So since this is 45, even this will be 45, and this will be 40, and this will be again 40. So to find the perpendicular, this is what we need to find. This should be nothing but 85 square minus 40 square. 85 square is 8 9 is 72, 7225, 40 square is 1600, which is 5625. Okay. That means this length will be equal to 75 square is 7 8 is 56. So the length will be, this is the square of the diameter. I can say diameter square is equal to the same. This implies diameter is equal to 75. Okay. Question wants us to find the radius. So radius should be choice D, 37.5 centimeters, which is half of 75. I hope you are not careless and marked the answer 75. This is a very common error as far as this question is concerned. Let's move to the next question. Question 24. Degree of each term of polynomial Px is odd. When Px is divided by x minus 3, the remainder is 6. What is the remainder when Px is divided by x square minus 9? Straight away round 2 question for me, because this takes time for solving. But when I came to round 2, even then I could not solve it, so I left it unattempted. This question was not attempted by me when I was doing the paper. Now typically I do these questions by creating an equation which will satisfy the condition. What do I mean by that is that can I create an equation Px, can I take a specific case which when divided by x minus 3 will give me a remainder 6. Okay. In the paper I was not able to do that, but after the paper I solved it, and let me share how I solved it after the paper. Now the question says each term of polynomial Px is odd. So let me assume a polynomial Px whose each term is odd. Let me say ax cube plus x. Okay. Each term of this polynomial has a power which is odd, so the degree is odd. Okay. When Px is divided by x minus 3, the remainder is odd. The remainder is 6. Okay. This means that P3 should be equal to 6. If you remember your remainder theorem, this means that P3 should be equal to 6. So what is P3 out here? It is the 27a plus 3 should be equal to 6. So this implies that a will be equal to 6 minus 3 by 27 or 1 by 9. Or in other words, I can say Px, which is equal to x cube upon 9 plus x is a polynomial which when divided by x minus 3 will leave a remainder 6, or it satisfies the condition. And now the question says what is the remainder when Px is divided by x square minus 9. So let's Px with x square minus 9. Px is x cube by 9 plus x. Let us divide this with x square minus 9. Okay. So we multiply this with, we want x cube by 9, so multiply with x by 9. So this becomes x cube by 9 and minus 9 into x by 9, so that makes it minus x. Okay. So we subtract minus, this becomes plus, and we get 2x. So the answer is choice A. Okay. This is again a classical SQC method when we create a situation which satisfies the condition given in the question. In this question, we created this equation Px such that the condition of the question is satisfied. The condition was when Px is divided by x minus c, remainder is 6. This is that equation which we have created. Okay. And then whatever remainder we get on dividing this equation Px with x square minus 9, that becomes the answer. So that is what we have done in this question. Let's move to the next question now. Question 25 and 26, a set of DI, and as I've said earlier, DI means, or grouped question or a set of DI means round 2 for me. When you look at this table, this looks huge in terms of data, but the amount of data should not worry us. What should worry us is what are we supposed to do with the data. Okay. I am sure there is nothing much to understand. There is a financial table for different years starting from 2006 up to 2011 given to us. And for each of these years, various items have been mentioned out here. Okay. Let's look at the questions and then decide if this is a set of data which is worth attempting or not. Question 25. Which year saw the maximum percentage change in total income as compared to the previous year? So for this question, we need to have total income for a year vis-a-vis the previous year, and it is giving us 4 specific years. Which means if I can just get the data for these 4 years, it should do the job. Next question. In which year is the ratio of sales turnover to total income the highest? Again, the ratio is required for 4 specific years only. Now, this is a set of data I would definitely want to do because the data pertains to 4 specific years, and when the data in the question pertains to the 4 specific years, and I need to check data only for that. Secondly, many of you will worry about the calculations, but all I will do in this is shift the decimal 3 places to the left. The question focuses on data for total income and data for sales turnover. So all I will do is shift the decimal out here. Or in other words, total income for 2011 for me will be 254.55 or rounded off to 255. 2010, 199. The same logic, 198.8, I am rounding it off. 145, 139, 113 and 84. Similar, the sales turnover for 2011 will be 259, 2010 200, 146, 139, 118 and 89. Now this will make my calculation easier. Now let's look at the question and solve these questions. In which year saw the maximum percentage change in total income as compared to the previous year? Let us look at the total income change for these 4 years, 7, 9, 10 and 11. 7, 9, 10 and 11 for 2007. From 2006, the total income went up from 84 to 113, which means 16 plus 13, increase of 29. 7, next was 9. 2009 is an increase of 6. 2010 is an increase of 45 plus 9, 54. And 2011 there is an increase of 56. Okay. So the percentage change for 2007 will be 29 upon 84. So let's write down this for each of these. This is 29 by 84. 2009 is 6 upon 139. 139. 2010 was 54 upon 145. And 2011 is 56 upon 199. And we are looking for the maximum percentage change. Choice C is incorrect because this is less than 5%. 10% of 139 is equal to 13.9, which means 5% will be approximately equal to 7. This number is 6, so it is less than 5%, and all the other numbers we can see will be significantly greater. 56 upon 199 can approximately be written as 56 upon 200, which is equal to 28%. Okay. Which brings us to the other two, 2007 and 2010. 29 by 84 is approximately 1/3. Okay. So about 33.33%, which means 2011 is incorrect. Why am I saying it is approximately 1/3? Because 28 upon 84 would have been equal to 1/3. So this has to be slightly greater, but still approximately the same as 33%. So it could be about 34% or so is what you could take it to be. 54 upon 145. Again, if I look at 10% of 145, it is equal to 14.5. 20%, 29. 40%, 58. This is less than 40%. But is it greater than 1/3 or less than 1/3? What is 1/3 of 145? 1/3 of 145 will be approximately 48. So which means if the numerator was 48, this fraction would have been 1/3. But since this is significantly higher, my answer should be greater than 1/3. So the correct answer becomes choice B. Okay. Great. So now let's move to the next question. Question 26. In which year is the sales turnover to total income highest? Again, picking data from the table, the sales turnover to total income. Let's write down this data for all the four choices which are mentioned in the question. 2006 was 89 by 84. 2007 is 118 by 113. 2009 is 146 by 145. And 2011 is 259 by 255. Now all of them are greater than 1. I am sure that's not an issue. So effectively we need to find out how much greater than 1 each one of them is. I can write 259. Okay, let me write down 2011, 2009, 2007, 2006. I can write 259 by 255 as 1 plus 4 by 255. Okay, which means 259 by 255, I am actually writing it as 255 plus 4 upon 255. Or this is more than 1 by 4 upon 255. 2009, 1 up plus 1 by 146. 2007, 1 plus 5 by 113. And 2006, 1 plus 5 by 84. Which of these four is the greatest? The one which has the maximum value of this fraction. And looking at the choices and looking at the numbers, this should be the highest. Because when I compare these two, for example, 5, 5, the numerator is the same, the denominator is smaller out here, so this has to be greater. This is definitely incorrect. 1 by 146 will definitely be smaller than 5 by 254, and similarly for this one. Okay. The correct answer is choice G. So please remember, whenever there is a huge amount of data, the numbers are difficult, your task is to approximate as we did in this question, and we solve the question with that level of approximation only. Let's move to the next question. Question 27. In the figure given below, ABCD is a square with side of length 2 cm. Semicircle with AB as the diameter is drawn inside the square. Line segment CE touches the semicircle, so that means CE is tangentially to the semicircle. What is the length of CE? Round 1 question. Because there is a question of mensuration which I am fairly comfortable with, and until unless mensuration has significant calculation issue, I would normally do it in round 1. Okay. In fact, this question, let me do it by two different ways. One is the conventional solution and the second one, which I would normally classify as SQC method. Okay. The question says this is a square of side 2 centimeters. Okay. And AB, there is a semicircle drawn on AB with AB as the diameter. Okay. We need to, and CE is a tangent, is a tangent to AB, and we need to find the length of CE. Okay. Now, supposing it was not CE but AC. Okay. Supposing it was here. The length of AC would be equal to, since there is a square, would be equal to 2 root 2. 2.8 to 1.414, so I am taking it to be 1.41. Okay. Second, if it was, E was not here but E was at the midpoint, that means this is 1 and this is 1. If that is the case, how much would this be? This would be root 5. Okay. So, this would be root 5, which is nothing but 2.23. Okay. I am just applying Pythagoras theorem to get these values. Okay. So, which means the length of CE should lie between these two values, which means choice D is incorrect, choice A is incorrect. This is equal to 2.33 and this is 2.5. Where would it be? I would say this should be roughly in the middle. Okay, and hence I would mark the answer as 2.5 straight away. Okay. Another thing which you should have done in this question, which I did unconsciously, and which you need to be careful about is, I realized that the figure is drawn to scale, which means if you use your pencil and rub sheet and measure VC and measure AB, you will find both of them to be equal. That means the figure is to scale. If the figure is to scale, then all these lengths will also be in proportion. So visually speaking, you can see that since this is 2.8 and this is 2.25 approximately, this should be roughly in the middle. If it has to be roughly in the middle, then C cannot be the answer because it is very close, hence 2.5. So this is the way I solve the question. When it comes to question of geometry and mensuration, many a times I'll just look at the figure, check out if the figure is to scale or not. If it is to scale, I'll get the answer from the figure without doing too much of calculation. But let's go to the normal mathematical solution to solve this question. I'll just erase whatever I have done on this so that we have some space for calculation. Okay, let's solve this question mathematically. Okay. We know that this is a square of side 2 centimeter, and on AB we have a semicircle drawn. EC is a tangent. Since EC is a tangent, then I can say C, let me put this as F. CF and BC. CF should be equal to BC. Why? Because CF and BC both are tangential to the circle starting from the same point, so they should be equal. So equal to 2, this is also equal to 2. Similarly, I can say if this is X, this will also be equal to X. Same logic. From E, I have drawn a tangent EF and EA to the same semicircle. So, EF equal to AE equal to X. Okay. So, what should this be? Since AD is equal to X, AD is equal to 2, DE should be equal to 2 minus X. So, it's a Pythagoras theorem where you can say 2 square plus 2 minus X whole square should be equal to 2 plus X whole square. Solving this equation, you can get the answer. Okay, it's a mathematical method, not a difficult one. But as I said, for me the first method, which means using the figure, was a faster one. Or measuring the figure and getting the answer from approximation was a faster method. Your choice, which of the methods you want to apply. Let's move to the next question. Question 28. In a community of 100 students, each student studies one or more of the two subjects, maths and chemistry. The number of students studying mathematics is greater than the number of students studying chemistry, which is greater than the number of students studying both mathematics and chemistry. So maths is greater than chemistry is greater than both. This is the data we have. What is the maximum number of students who study chemistry? Round 1, Venn diagram. There is a simple question of Venn diagram, hence round 1. Also, I will be using my smart quant tracker techniques out here, which means I will be using the choices out here. Okay. Okay, now I will draw this figure, okay, and this is maths, this is chemistry, and this is the common area, okay. Now we know that maths has to be greater than chemistry, and chemistry has to be greater than this common area of both. Let's start checking the choices. The question says what is the maximum number of students, so let's start checking the maximum choice. The maximum choice is 98. If the number of students studying chemistry is 98, then number of students studying mathematics could be 99, or it could also be 100. If the number of students studying mathematics is 99 and chemistry is, mathematics is 100 and chemistry is 98, that means studying both of them would be 100 plus 98 minus 3. So 98 would be studying both. But this contradicts this condition because both have to be less than chemistry. So this case is not possible. Next, studying both in this particular case, when chemistry is 98, 99 plus 98 minus 100 is 197 minus 100, 97. This satisfies both the conditions, hence this should be the answer. Now while you can solve this mathematically, to me it is always easier and faster to use the choices, and which is why you will find me using these choices on a very regular basis. Okay. So it's a simple process that we adopted out here was to use the choices. Let's move to the next question. Question 29. 3 times log x base 4 is equal to log of 7x base 4. Logs are typically round 2 for me. But in this case, I will be doing it in round 1 because it is coming at the end of the paper. 29th question of the paper, it does not really matter whether I take it in round 1 or round 2. If I can solve this question, I will do it. Otherwise, I'll leave it for round 3. Okay. So let's solve this question. We can write this equation as log of x cube base 4 is equal to log of 7x base 4, which implies x cube equal to 7x, because the base is same, that means the number inside, which is x cube and 7x, they should also be 0. So I can rewrite this as x cube minus 7x equal to 0, x into x square minus 7 is equal to 0, all which implies x equal to 0 or x square minus 7 equal to 0. So one of the possible values of x is equal to 0. Okay. Let's go further. So while we have taken care of this, we need to look at this also. X square minus 7 equal to 0 implies x square equal to 7 or x equal to under root of 7, positive as well as negative. So x equal to under root 7, x equal to minus under root 7. So there are 3 possible. So the answer is D. However, this is an incorrect answer. Most of us would have made this error. Please be careful. Log question, this is a very common error. Let me explain why. Now x is coming out here. So we need to find effectively log of x base 4. That means x cannot be 0 and x cannot be negative. So the only possible value is under root 7. So only one possible value is there. Please be careful. This is a very common error which is committed by students when it comes to question of log. In question of log, be careful with this item. That if I have log of x base b, then x cannot be 0, x cannot be negative is what you need to remember. Let's move to the next question. Question 30. Again a table. So a single question on a table. Let's go through the question. As I said, end of the paper does not really matter whether it's round 1 or round 2. So the default then becomes round 1. Given below is a tabular description of ethanol produced from sweet sorghum, sugarcane and maize. Total ethanol produced is the sum total of ethanol produced from grain, stalk cane juice and residue. Okay. So ethanol is produced from stalk cane, it is from residue and it is from grain. So all 3 of them. And the table tells us if you are using sweet sorghum, you will get 760 liters per hectare from grains, another 1400 liters per hectare from stock, and from the residue another 1000. Or in other words, it is 1000 plus 14 is 24 plus 7, 3160. 3160 liters per hectare. Liters per hectare of ethanol would be produced from sweet sorghum in a single crop over 4-month duration. Similarly, we have data for sugarcane, ethanol from sugarcane and ethanol from maize. So, crop duration of sugarcane is 12 months, which means only one crop per year. This crop duration for sweet sorghum is 4 months, so it will give me 3 crops per year. So, the total would be 3 into 3160. Here it is 1 into this much, and maize is 3 months, so it will give me 4 crops per year. So, it should be this total into 4 is the total amount of ethanol which I can produce in a particular year. Let's go further. Selling price of ethanol is rupees 27 per liter. $1 is rupees 50. Crop duration refers to the time it takes for a crop to get matured for producing ethanol. Assume the entire produce gets sold in the market. Okay, so that's the data we have. Let's move to the question. If a farmer makes 3 cultivations of sweet sorghum, remember sweet sorghum was 4-month duration. That means 1 year. 1 cultivation of sugarcane, which is in any case has a 12-month duration, and 4 cultivation of maize. Maize was, if you remember, 3 months of cultivation period. So 4 cultivation will be complete year. So we are talking with respect to a complete year. Then what is the order of the 3 crops according to profit achieved by them in a year? Okay. Let's go back to the table. We need to find the profit. Key things to remember. Selling price of ethanol is 27 rupees per liter. $1 is rupees 50. Yeah, that's it. Let's move to the data now. So what is the total cost of ethanol? $1,200 per hectare. This is for a 4-month period. So for 3 crops, it will be 1200 into 3 because every 4 months you'll have a new crop. So 1200 into 3 makes it $3,600. Sugarcane only 1 crop per year, so the total cost is 4200. And maize, it is 3 months crop duration, so 4 crops a year. So 4 crops means 4000. Okay. So this is the cost in dollars per hectare. So it is dollars per hectare over a 1 year period. Okay. But what is it that you are producing? The ethanol produces 3 into 3160, which makes it 9480. So total ethanol produced will be 9480 liter per hectare in the full year on the basis of sweet sorghum. For sugarcane, 56 plus 33, 8925 liters. Again, when it comes to maize, it is 1400 and 1832. This is 3216. But since it's 3-month duration, so in a year I'll have 4 times the crop. So 3216 into 4 makes it 12864. Okay. So this is the production and this is the cost of production. So my sales would have to be by my profit. Profit is sales value minus cost. Okay, so sales value would be then multiplying the production with 27 rupees because selling price was 27 rupees and to get it into dollars divided by 50. So if I do 27 by 50 of this, 27 by 50 of this and this 27 by 50, I'll have the sales value. Okay. Looks like huge amount of work, but don't start your calculation. Let us move to the next sheet or next slide and check out if we can cut down on calculations. Okay, I have written the data out here so that we don't have to go to the previous slide. So the data out here is sweet sorghum, sugarcane, maize. This is the production liters per hectare. We'll produce so much of ethanol from 9480 liters per hectare of ethanol from sweet sorghum. 8925 liters per hectare from sugarcane and similarly for maize. And the cost of production in dollars is given out here. So there is the cost, there is the production. But production has to be converted into sales value, so we'll need to multiply each of them by 27 by 50. 9480 into 27 by 50 will give us dollars of sale value for ethanol from sweet sorghum. 8925 into 27 by 50 gives us corresponding value for ethanol from sugarcane. Okay. So let's not do the calculation, let us approximately see which one is the highest. Now what should be visible to all of us is the highest production happens for maize. So it should also have the highest sales value. And it is also significantly higher number as compared to the others. From sugarcane 8900 to 12,800, it's a jump of almost 4,000, so something like a 40% increase. Similarly, from sweet sorghum to maize, 94 to 12,800, so another 3,400. So again, more than one third. So these are a significant jump, while the cost increases. In this case, the cost is coming down, so sugarcane has to be lesser than maize. And here, the cost goes up from 3,600 to 4,000, which means goes up by less than 10%. So maize has to be the highest value in terms of profit, which means choice A, which gives sweet sorghum, or C, which gives sweet sorghum, is an incorrect. Our incorrect choices, my answer is either B or D. Now between sweet sorghum and sugarcane, let's compare them. It is 9480 of into 27 by 50 minus 3600, and here 8925 versus this. Now the cost is higher, the sales value is lower, so obviously sugarcane has to be the least. So sugarcane has to be the least. Sugarcane is not the least out here, so this is also incorrect, and the correct answer is choice D. My request to all of you is don't get bogged down by calculation. Whenever you have a huge amount of calculation in front of you, look at the choices, do an approximation, and most probably you will be able to get the right answer. This is the section, and now let us move to analysis of this particular section.